What's up, guys? So today we have a bit of a different video. We have Niall Breslin, okay, who is a rugby player, athlete, as well as a lead singer for the Blizzards, okay, a big massive band, super famous guy, of course. If you lads are from Ireland, if anyone's from Ireland, then you'll know about Niall Breslin, super famous guy. And the reason I'm making this video today is to not hate on the guy, because I know a lot of people will say that, but I just wanted to talk about certain things because he's been in the Irish media for the last 15 years and he's completely taken over the mental health scene, okay, where he talks about mental strength, mental health. And I feel like a lot of things that he does say are sometimes misconstrued, or sometimes they're just a bit strange, guys, in my personal opinion. I don't understand why the media keeps pushing this guy, but we're about to look into it a little bit. So it says here that Breslin opens up about being a big thing that he was on medication when applying for a mortgage. Okay, so obviously he was applying for a mortgage, and because he takes antidepressants or SSRIs, then they made it bad. They kind of said that it's not good that he's taking medication. So it's kind of wild, but we're about to get into it, guys. He is obviously a big mental health advocate. He's talked about how he has wanted to hurt himself and commit suicide and things like that over the past 10 years in Irish media. But for me, I'm just confused. I just can't understand how he does feel like that. But we're about to get into it. Let's watch the video first.
You said there is a healthy, and I suppose that's one thing that social media has driven into all of us. It's made a very unhealthy mental landscape for an awful lot of people, and of course you deal with that in your podcast. You've been talking about mental health issues for the last God knows how long. I'm in the same boat as you. But when it comes to how it's changed for people now, because you talk to a lot of people all the time, how has that evolved over the years, and the difficulties that are facing people now as opposed to maybe 10, 20 years ago?
I mean, I think society has really stepped up in terms of eroding the stigma and the conversation around it. My fear is the systems haven't. The systems haven't kept up, and the systems haven't evolved to deal with what is now an incredibly progressed way of looking at the human condition,
society in general will never I think fully accept it, because for the most part women want a strong man. They want a masculine man that's not all wrapped up in emotions, and they want a man to lead and stuff like that, guys. So in a way, when he says society has accepted mental health, well, not really. If as a man you still have to be in shape, you still have to earn money, you still have to support your family, support your wife, and support your parents and your brother, be a strong role model. Okay, so there are societal pressures on men still. Okay, you can't go around looking like a fat slob or else people will judge you. So
we're all on a spectrum of emotions. Some people, perfectly waltz through life and everything's great, and some people don't. And I think the systems of support are crucial. And I don't mean just the systems of mental health support. I mean the systems of, for example, things like getting mortgages, being asked, people, like in my case when I was getting a mortgage, it was a big thing that I was on medication for a period of time, and it was questions that was asked. And then you've friends of mine who are in the guards, and they're worried about talking and looking for help because they're going, if I get help, will I be able to progress my... So this type of systematic stuff, the systematic stigma, it's still there. So it requires a deeper level of work. And then in my own work, I think the other element of it is we have to be very careful with the language around. I don't like the word resilience. I think it's a word we overuse. We shouldn't be resilient to what's going on in the world right now. It is not normal. It is overwhelming, and it's a perfectly healthy human response to be overwhelmed by it.
And scared and frightened and worried.
It's crisis after crisis after crisis, and I think...
Yeah, I just don't like the way they're pushing negativity. Like, first of all, he said that if you're on medications like antidepressants, SSRIs, you find it hard to get a mortgage. And unfortunately, guys, when it comes to money, a lot of logic comes into play. People, like I said, women don't want it. Like, if you're going to buy a car, but you are going to commit suicide and not going to pay back this car loan, the society is going to look at you, the system's going to look at you and say, no, we don't want this guy. He's a risk, right? Which actually is sick to say, guys, but I understand when they say that because they're trying to make money. It's a crazy system. I don't necessarily agree with that, of course, absolutely. They're trying to make money, and then it's just a whole thing. But the whole thing I don't get about Niall Breslin, and this is what I want to get to, guys, because I just wanted to show a little bit of him. This guy has been in the news 10 years. And, same as those other segments that I react to about ADHD. Remember, I did a segment a few weeks about ADHD. there almost seems like they're pushing these medications, guys. And I would advise everybody, not to take any medication for your mental health. Try and work on being fit, hit the gym, try and build good relationships with your family so you have a strong support network. A lot of the times people move to big cities, they move to Australia, they move to Canada, they have nobody to support them, and your family is there to support you guys. But we're told now to be individualistic, and it kind of erodes a lot of that confidence and that sort of community aspect that you have in your hometown. Unfortunately, that's how it is, guys. But yeah, I would advise people not to take drugs, don't push any of these things. And for Niall Breslin, man, this is the whole thing. This guy, I'm not gay, but every single woman I talk to says he's the most handsome man in the world. He has all the money in the world. He's rich as hell. He's a superstar athlete. He could flip and bang 22-year-olds for the rest of his life. He's literally like the Irish Leo flipping DiCaprio, off Titanic. He's literally like that guy, okay? But still he's unhappy. It almost seems like there's some sort of degree of like not being grateful or something. Like even before I had any sort of money coming in from the internet or any sort of job or anything, guys, I was still happy. Even when I was a kid and I had nothing, 15-year-old, broke as hell, no money, no nothing. We had a house, we had a car, and there's always people worse than you guys. If I went to flipping Africa or China, some India, there's people always worse than you. But in terms of Ireland, low income household, I always was like, oh, this kind of sucks. But I was always super happy. Even now, to this day, I'm even more happier because I'm doing what I want to do, making money from the internet or whatever. Even a little bit, I'm not making millions by any stretch. This guy is millions. He's so rich. Everyone loves him. Literally every girl loves him. He could bang 20-year-olds for the rest of his life till he's flipping 80. You know what I mean? Literally. But he's still unhappy, and I think it's these medications that don't help that. I think they kind of alter your flipping mindset. I think as well, when you go to these therapists and they're saying, oh, you're depressed, you're anxiety, and they put labels on you, I choose to never accept any labels or anything like that. For me, I probably have severe ADHD, ADD, but I just choose to work hard, hit the gym, work on my business, work on helping my family every day. And that's how I kind of choose to get over these things. I feel like a lot of these guys, choose this sort of depressive mindset. Oh, I'm a depressive guy. I'm a depressant guy. I'm this, I'm that. It's like, no, dude, like wake up, hit the gym, and he's in good shape. So like, it's just like a lot of these things are being altered by people telling you what you are. For me, I never accepted what people told me what I am, okay? Because then you accept limitations, guys. You accept that you're a depressant. You accept that you're going to be broke. Maybe you work a job that you don't like. They're going to say that's what you are for the rest of your life, Don't accept that, guys. Keep pushing forward. I want to have this channel motivate people. Niall Breslin seems like a good guy, Brezzy or whatever, Brazzer, whatever his name. I don't know too much about this guy, but it's like a lot of this is like pushing negativity, pushing being depressed, having anxiety, having ADD. Now everybody's on the spectrum. Everyone's autistic. Everyone's on the spectrum. It's like, it's too much, guys. I think that this, the Virgin Media Live, of course, they're brainwashing propaganda specialists as well. They tell you that you're something and you're not that, guys. Really you're a smart, strong individual. You have all the mental strength and mental acuity in the world, and you can do anything you set your mind to. In my personal opinion, you can do anything in this world that you guys want. Okay, anything. You can't do everything, but you can do anything. Okay, it just takes at least 10 years. So work hard, get after it. Don't listen to people like Niall Breslin, unfortunately. I hate to be putting the guy down, but, don't take medications, guys. Unless you're seriously in need of that. Some people do need that, and I do know some people that need, some sort of suppressant medication. Absolutely, some people do. But for the vast majority of people, 99% of people do not need any sort of medical intervention when it comes to their mental, health. So, yeah, keep working out, keep being healthy, go out into the sun, talk to people, go talk to women. They say now that only 50% of people have never approached a woman in real life to ask her out on a date. Like, guys, come on, like, that's ridiculous. You should have done that by the time you're 21, because you can start drinking at 18. If you guys are flipping shy, have a flipping shot of whiskey, go ask out the girl at the pub, whatever. Try and do these mentally hard things. They make you stronger mentally, okay? The road to heaven, okay, the road to heaven feels like hell. The road to hell feels like heaven. Okay, that famous quote. So be very careful what you're doing. If you're relaxing too much in your day-to-day, if you're enjoying your life too much, partying, doing drugs, drinking. Don't do those things. Work hard. I love you all. And don't listen to the media ever. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.